Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco. Dish out on the movies. This afternoon we are doing the last 2 episodes of this season's Masterchef. And I'm done.
What?
I'm done with it.
You're done?
I'm glad it's over because it's been the last few weeks. It's been a nightmare with 2 episodes every week to watch in a row, and the contestants that they were left with, they were good. There was weird stuff going on. In fact, the title of my review, or at least my part of the review, is
weird stuff.
It's like
weird
beer in your dessert and misbegotten comments.
Misbegotten? What does that mean?
Meaning odd stuff that was said that turned me off because they were personal, and I don't want to hear. This is a cooking show, a cooking competition, and it shouldn't have anything to do with the food. I mean, I just don't want to hear it. I don't like the personal commentary, and maybe you'll understand when you hear, because I did write down what was said and by the contestants, and one of them I'm not surprised with because we've heard her talk about her 6 children the entire season. Almost every episode she's mentioned how she's given everything up to have 6 children, and they were there, and one of them was like a baby. I mean, a little toddler. I thought, 6 children, but she's not really old enough to have, 18, 21, so they're all of different ages, but they're not all ready to leave the nest at all. Not even close. And one's like a baby to toddler. I was a little shocked, but between her and then Kennedy...
We'll get into that. We have to talk about the episode. We can't just jump to these moments.
As usual, they have 3 contestants because it's been like that for the last I don't know how many seasons.
Which is very weird because it doesn't really, especially this finale, it didn't feel like there were 3 contestants. It felt like there were 2 contestants and then there was a third person, because right off the bat, you knew that this third person wasn't going to win. You knew that she wasn't going to be able to beat the other 2.
Right.
The Karen.
The 6 children lady. And you never know. I mean, I hate to make that kind of prediction because you just never know. But
you knew.
The thing about these MasterChef seasons, it's been pretty consistent with this, but they'll have 1 or 2 people, and they'll start off kind of rough, but then they just get better and better and better and better.
Yeah, like when?
By the time at the end of the season, you can almost tell pretty much who's going to win, or you're reasonably sure it's going to be between 1 or 2 people. This time, it wasn't like that at all. They were just so flawed.
But then you have Wayne.
And
he was the best one.
And
they got rid of him.
And he was a guy from our state, and we did not like him at the beginning. He made some dumb pumpkin risotto for going to the fall fair, or, like a county fair. He lives in Columbus. That's where they have a state fair every year, and that place it's amazing. I've been there a few times. And I can't imagine making any kind of risotto of any kind, no matter whether it's fall-related or not, at a fair. It just isn't the place to have risotto. And so anyway, but that was a million years ago. And then he got better and better and better. I guess his only flaw was he always did a little bit too much. But he improved, just like in previous seasons with other contestants who went on to win. And so you have 3 contestants who get to the finals. You have Kennedy from Colorado, so that's the West. You have Grant from Iowa, that would be the Midwest.
Masterchef of the Corn.
And then you have Jennifer from Arkansas, and she's representing the South because this season was based on, it was a regional competition. And
So this finale was close to being worst case scenario. Like if they had Reagan in there with Karen, it would have been the worst case scenario, honestly. So
they kept Reagan until almost the end.
Yeah, it was like they were really trying, and I was like, that's not yeah. And she was like the only person this episode cheering on Karen, or at least like
Jennifer.
The only person in the interviews. It seemed like everyone else really wanted Kennedy
or Grant,
or mostly Kennedy, though, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, everybody liked Kennedy,
but then this episode
Grant.
happened. Yeah.
And I think people like Jennifer, but I mean, as far as like, I think they recognize the quality of their cooking, and that there's another thing.
Well, right off the bat, they show her 6 children there, which already made me cringe. But then, instead of talking about herself having 6 children, first off, she's like, I'm really happy to be in Masterchef finale because I'm going to gain my independence. And it's like, I don't think so. You have six kids, and one of them is a baby. And it's
a baby.
So we were both like, what does that mean?
And like, when somebody says something like that, their kids are like 18, 21. They're off to college or whatever. They're really old, a lot older. And these were all young kids. They're not ready. And a baby. They're not ready for her to leave and get her independence, so to speak. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, it was very weird. It was very weird. Because, like, the whole season, she's like, my 6 kids, my 6 kids, my 6 kids.
Every single episode.
And suddenly she's like, my independence. And then she started going on about the South. Like, they already said, like, she's from the South, or she represents the South. But then they're like, what are you making for your appetizer? And she's like, well, I'm from the South.
Yeah. Like, okay.
And I'm making... And I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, well, they had to make 3 things. That's the way it's been. An appetizer, an entree, and then a dessert. And desserts are usually something that I think trips them up, usually because they're not.
It does, because they don't focus on it for some reason, even though it's Masterchef.
Yeah, I know.
Which means you should be able to cook dessert, entree, appetizer, whatever you have to cook. You shouldn't be like a 2-dimensional chef who can only cook appetizers and entrees.
I'd like to know what kind of dessert Aaron cooks, though. I really would, because he never talks about dessert.
Dulce de leche?
Well, yeah. There's also fried ice cream.
Tres leches.
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what tres leches is?
Tres leches. That'd be 3 milks.
Yeah, that's the dessert.
I don't know what it is.
Well,
I don't know. I've never heard of it, but anyway.
See, Aaron is gonna not take you seriously ever again now.
Like you would ever have taken me seriously, because I don't take them too seriously. I can't because they do things like.
I mean, they're judging
rid of good contestants.
Yeah, like this season shouldn't be called United Tastes of America. It really should be called Bad Judging Decisions, because the whole season it was like a repetitive cycle. They send home bad cooks. They send home good cooks, and they keep the bad cooks. And then they send home more good cooks, and they keep the bad cooks still. And that just kept on happening over and over and over and over again, to the point of where it was really annoying. Like, they were acting like they were surprised that when they kept these bad cooks that, like, they did a bad job. Like when the Alabama girl was like, This Hell's Kitchen isn't like my home in the barn.
Yeah.
You know, like, they were surprised by that. And it's like, I don't know what you're so surprised about. Like, you chose to keep this weak chef when you could have kept other ones who would have done much better, like the suicidal girl.
And Jennifer,
and
I
Kyle.
remember her, she was complaining about the cookware, saying it was so good. she didn't know how to use it. That was the most, sorry to say, asinine statement I've ever heard. The cookware is so good, she doesn't know how to use pots and pans. I mean, come on, give me a break.
And she's used to using a microwave.
I don't know what she's used to using. When somebody says something like that, that's called head scratching.
Hashtag microwave Karen.
I don't know, but that was way back when. I don't know how she could cook this kind of stuff in a microwave. So just let me say what their basic appetizer was.
We're going through it like we were talking about, like what the season has been overall, which, in my opinion, bad judging decisions. That's the theme of the season.
Well, I'll never forget that one where it seemed like the group cooking sessions where they were outside and cooking as teams. Those were the worst episodes. I thought they were terrible. And that one where, the Northeast, who Joe was so sure.
Well, that was another funny thing.
They were going to win.
As I predicted, all of them got sent home.
Well, the guy was doomed for before he even began because they gave them these pork chops that had huge bones in them.
No, they were double boned.
Okay, they were double boned.
So they're double sized.
So that means they were on the grill when there's wind. They were impossible to cook, even for some of the best. They even said it. The judges said it. And he just, from the very beginning, was doomed because he just couldn't get the cook on it right. The cook on them. And it was constant bitching and griping at him, which really pissed me off because I just felt like he was
because
doomed.
It was like the whole episode.
He couldn't do anything.
You knew he was going home.
Yeah, you knew he was going. You knew he was, because they're only going to send one person home, and you knew it was going to be him. And that was just so unfair. And he was. At least we could have seen what he could have done with other.
Well, I would say it was the most unfair with the suicidal girl because she didn't do anything wrong. Her partner did. So
they sent 2 people home. They were on a team. I don't remember that happening very, very much.
I don't know.
Where they had a team. If the team messes up as a team, I mean a team of 2. I'm not talking about like 5 or 6 people. They send both home. And they did that this time because if they were supposed to cook identically behind a wall, so that means yelling instructions over the wall or through the wall or whatever, and everything had to look the same, cook the same, and same plating. And that was a big challenge. And he didn't listen to her, and he would do things ahead. Well, you couldn't do that. That they had to, if you wanted to do all that, what I just said, everything had to be exactly alike. They had to be like clones of each other or something. And so he screwed it up. The plating was completely the opposite. His fish they cooked salmon, I believe, and his was undercooked or something. And so hers looked great, but it didn't matter. They had to look the same. And so they both got sent home. It was Bree from the Northeast. I think she was the last Northeastern person, too. And then there was Colby. And I don't remember exactly where he was from, but I think he was from the South. So, anyway. So that was another unfair thing that happened during the season.
Yeah, this season should have been called United States of Unfairness.
Yeah. So I really, Chef Ramsay, they advertise his other shows on, when they do advertising. And he's got a lot on his plate. And it just seems like when that happens, the show gets a little bit of a short shrift. Maybe because they've done it for so many seasons. But it still needs care. And when they do stuff like that, that's not care. That's carelessness. So, like I said, they each had to make a appetizer, an entree, and a dessert.
And so with the appetizers, first off, let's just start off with the good, which would be Grant, because Grant wasn't a weirdo. So Grant, he made what?
Egg yolk ravioli and some other
Oh, that's kind of weird.
little things.
Okay.
Yeah, for somebody from Iowa, that is not a dish you would be having in Iowa.
I felt
Sorry.
like that was a bad choice, but it
worked
was a
out.
choice to make for the judges because
Right.
they're so pretentious and they love their egg yolk ravioli.
Yeah, which... Ugh. And then Jennifer made she made a couple things, but she made a caviar sauce with lobster. And they went on and on and on because they thought she should have made a béarnaise.
Well, they're really set in their ways, and so
Yeah, they sure are.
you know, like they were like, oh well, we wanted that, and she's like, no, this is gonna be good, and it's like when they say they want something, that's an indication that you need to change the dish. Like even if you have like the greatest thing ever, they were set in their ways. They wanted a béarnaise sauce.
Yeah, they went on, and they all went on. They did not just like Ramsay or Joe, or they all three talked about it. All three judges.
Yeah.
And she made something else. It had truffle oil, and so they bitched about. I'll just go ahead and say they bitched about the truffle oil. They couldn't taste it, and that it needed salt.
Well, let's be honest. Nobody wants to taste truffle oil.
I know. I'm like
Truffle
ew.
oil is like an
What?
ingredient that everybody like says gross.
It's just ew. Okay, and so Grant made the egg yolk ravioli. Jennifer made the caviar sauce with lobster, and another thing which I can't remember because I couldn't write down every little thing with what they made. And Kennedy made a trout. And then I put with a host of other ingredients, and
Now,
then
let's get to that.
Marco
No.
said she made a pea puree to go with it.
Oh, let's talk about her because she's very
Well, she did
This-
a good
this was-
job. They liked
No,
it.
this was the episode where she turned into like full on like worst possible scenario because keep
It's a
in
shame.
mind they could have had Wayne there, but they chose to keep her, even though she made a worse mistake than him, and she deserved to go home. Well, she started off, and this is where it got so cringeworthy. I almost didn't want to watch the show because I was like, I already have to watch American Horror after this with Kim Kardashian, and it's funny because Kim Kardashian was better than this whole episode in that show, so that's pretty bad. So Safi's master crush, first off, she's like, my meal is all about how I'm androgynous, and I'm not a man or a woman. I'm a thing, and I'm a man and a woman at the same time.
Well, she didn't say
And-
I'm a thing at all.
Well,
But she
she's-
did say that about being androgynous.
And so, like, her first meal, her appetizer is quote-unquote feminine. And let's be honest, guys, it wasn't feminine at all. Like, it was fish and pea puree. That's pretty masculine. Like, when you think about fishing, you think about men. And you think about men going fishing with their fucking weirdo fishing equipment and their weirdo beer that's just sitting in a boat with beer fishing. You don't think about women. It's not a feminine dish at all. And
Well,
so that was bullshit.
And she's from Colorado, so she is in the state. She centers her with lots of foods that she has made with the hunting and fishing.
I mean,
that
all
goes
she
there.
had to do too was say like, "This is Colorado themed." Like, no,
Yeah.
it's about her gender, her stupid gender bullshit that
I don't
nobody
want-
cares
and
about.
I didn't want to hear. She never talked like this during the entire season. It was all about the cooking,
And
which
I
is
was
what
like,
it should be.
this is exactly what we didn't want, and why I knew that they kept her, because they wanted this shit, and they got what they deserved with that, because she
And then-
went full on.
Her sister was there.
Yeah,
And her sister's a lot shorter than her, but she's kind of looks like her, and
Yeah.
her hair is cut real short.
that was really weird too, is that they look so similar, and
And she said they made her sit. They asked her if she would like to sit down in front of her appetizer because it was her turn to show the judges what she had made, and then
Yeah,
they would taste it.
They invited her sister to sit up there and judge the plate.
I've never seen that before. I've never seen them invite anybody up there, except at the very beginning, when they were just getting the contestants. I think they had the grandpa, Colby's grandpa, come and taste whatever he had just made, and she
sits up there and
she says this such a horrible.
No, I'll go through it since you don't have to.
It's right here.
On the plate, she did this really weird thing, this really queer thing.
Literally.
Literally.
I guess.
Where she smeared blue across the plate to look like a rainbow.
I thought that was the dessert.
No, that was the appetizer.
Oh, God.
And her sister says, "This is a really good dish. The blue smear on the plate." Go ahead, Safi.
It represents...
Don't mess it up.
The rainbow aspect of her queerness. And Marco and I just sat there with our mouths open like, oh, God. And I think the judges were aghast, too, if you can believe that.
Yeah, they look kind of like, uh-oh.
Uh-oh. And then they said, okay, that's nice. You can sit down now. And so I just, why did she say that? Why did she have to say that?
That was so cringe.
I did not like that at all. I don't like that personal stuff. I don't care what, and you'll see what happens with Jennifer. That personal crap. I don't like that.
Well, this was worse. Cooking. This was worse because it was it was on theme with her dish. The whole comment that Karen made didn't really have to do with her dish. It had to do with her stupid personal life. But
which I didn't want to hear about either.
This had to do with
what it is. This is not an anti-gay thing. This is I don't want to hear.
But it's stupid. Stuff. I don't want to hear about this weirdo shit. I don't want to hear about this fucking weird shit that they think about and want to make into a dish. That doesn't have anything to do with cooking. And there's no such thing as a masculine or feminine dish, unless it's really, really, really even if it's hardcore macaroons that are pink. That's still not a exclusively feminine dish. But there's this weirdo thing now where people like her associate dishes with gender and say
please don't do that ever again. Don't say that on TV like that ever again.
That was so cringe.
I just didn't like that.
It was the worst thing. And as soon as that happened, I was like, I don't want to watch the rest of this trash. I don't want to see this at all.
But they did like the appetizer. She did a good job with it. I mean, it tasted good. And
they said it was just kind of like they've seen it before. It's trout and pea puree.
I'm trying to see if what.
And Gordon said that her garnish was undercooked or something.
No, I don't have that. But
well,
anyway.
You weren't paying attention. You were falling asleep.
No, I wasn't. I was aghast. I couldn't get over what she said. It just killed me. So anyway, then the next person was Jennifer's appetizer, and we already talked about that. And they thought it was too salty.
But they liked it still. They said it's good, but it really wasn't. It was really funny. They're like, it's good.
And they just wanted that Bernaise sauce. So anyway, out of the three, I think Kennedy did okay too, and Grant. I don't think Jennifer, because she didn't have that Bernaise sauce, she did the worst of the three. Worst in degrees. It's not blatantly burned or undercooked or whatever. Just they didn't like the sauce. They didn't think it was right. Okay, then we go on to the entrees, and I think we got all the way almost to the end, and then they had to start the last episode. So I didn't write down everything as usual, but I'll tell you briefly what they made. Jennifer made a venison rack. So instead of lamb chops, they were venison chops. And Grant made pork tenderloin medallions. And Kennedy made
Kennedy made
rabbit.
Kennedy made probably the worst plate I've ever seen in the history of cooking shows.
It just, ew.
It
was
looks so
rabbit
gross.
liver. I mean, it wasn't rabbit.
Well,
it was rabbit liver.
No, there was also rabbit, but the thing that was gross.
I thought it was just rabbit liver.
Let's just skip ahead to like what they thought about these dishes. And by the way, this whole show was very dragged out. Like, it did not need to be 2 hours, but they wanted to have 2 hours of shitty commercials.
Yeah.
That I don't care about. And I'm not gonna, make any decisions based on these commercials interrupting my show. Kennedy's, Safi's Master Crush, her entree looked like, and she even said this was the masculine dish, and it represents her masculinity, because she's not a woman, she's a man and a woman at the same time, apparently, and it looks like a rabbit gets shot on a plate. And it literally did. It looked so gross. I was like, this is not masculinity at all. Like, if a man, and it's true, like, if a man shot a rabbit, which a lot of men have hunted rabbits and shot them, they wouldn't put it on a plate with blood all over the place. Like, that's not what men do. It's like, blood doesn't equal men. Like, bloody, victimized, like, rabbit, like, that's not a male thing. That's a psychopath thing, like Jeffrey Dahmer type of activities. So, like, to say that, like, it's a masculine dish, it was totally false. It was totally, like, delusion. Just complete delusion of, like, this is what she thinks masculinity is. And she doesn't know what real masculinity is for obvious reasons.
Well, the exact thing that you said, because I think I went to throw something in the trash or get something to drink. Gordon didn't like her garnishes.
Oh wait, that was the one with the garnish. Okay, I couldn't remember because she sucked this episode. It was terrible watching this train wreck.
And Jennifer, the thing they complained with her dish. Oh, I'll tell you one thing she did with this dish. There was a big thing about when she cut it, this is a very difficult meat to cook, and it can be under or over real easily, and it was fine, it was perfect. So what she does is when she cuts it, and she would find out when she cut it, and they showed it and it was fine, she cuts off a chop and she holds it up in her hand.
Yeah, that was
the audience.
That was another cringeworthy thing. It was like so
amateurish,
ugh.
Which is what they said several times about her cooking and plating and everything.
Which
else.
is funny because it's like we've been saying that the whole season.
Yeah.
And you put her in the finale.
Yeah. And so they didn't say anything, but I didn't like that. I thought that was really stupid.
Yeah, like, look at me.
And what they complained about was inconsistencies with her cooking. I don't remember all the specifics, because the thing with her, chop in her hand,
the way that
the audience,
the way that she cut the chops, it was very like she just didn't really pay attention to it. She just cut off like random pieces, like really randomly, and just put them on the judges' plates, and didn't even think about like. I don't know, there was something about how she chopped them that was very, like, amateurish, too.
And they not all of the judges, well, maybe all of them, they all said something about her being amateurish.
Yeah.
In some way during her cooking.
It's
and
like,
to me, I thought, well,
I wonder
think that she's not going to get it.
Well, yeah,
that point.
As soon as the appetizer was over, we knew that she wasn't going to win at all. Because they didn't take her seriously, because she shouldn't have been there. Like, it was a waste of time to even have a third contestant. Like, they wasted that. It should have been Wayne or the suicidal girl.
Well, Grant did fine.
But to be the third contestant, Safi.
Yeah.
Over her.
He's talking about Bren from the Northeast.
Yeah, the suicidal girl.
He keeps saying that. Anyway, because she was good, and she actually, Marco had said, they showed her, they went to the previous contestants and asked them what they thought, and a few things about they thought who was winning, or who they wanted to win, or whatever, and it was getting near the end of the the night, and Brand said, I don't think I could do it. It's just too much stress.
Too much pressure. And I was like, yeah, we know.
At least you admit that, though.
We know.
She admits that. So then we get to the dessert, and that's when Jennifer has her, besides she did that holding up the chop, which I have never in my life at any cooking competition.
You've skipped over completely what they thought of Grant's entree.
Well, I thought they liked it.
Yeah, but you didn't even say that. It was just like, let's skip over that.
He had made these pork tenderloin medallions with some other things, and they thought it was
It was simple.
Yeah, it was very simple.
The key was that it was in theme with the first dish. Karen's theme was pretentious amateur try-hard food. It really wasn't on theme together.
And Kennedy's
was about gender, which isn't a theme at all. And it was like, the first dish is completely opposite of the second dish for obvious reasons. And so it was like they didn't go together at all.
And they said that, too. They didn't think, after she made her dessert, when they talk about everybody's dishes, they didn't think the succession of dishes went together. That was kind of almost their exact quote. And they really didn't.
It's all delusion.
So,
Joe started getting, like, really pissy with her, too, because I don't think he appreciated that crap. And so he was like, Well,
too bad, because the Northeast didn't do anything, and he went on about how great they were, and give me a break.
But he was like, this is a piece of art right here, but we're gonna have to eat it too, Yeah,
he actually said that.
He said that like multiple times, and it's like that was pretty funny.
Well, okay, just let me tell you what they made for dessert then. Okay, well, you had Kennedy. Well, I'll put her last because there was a couple mistakes, and she had a problem. Actually, each of them had a problem. You could see it. But Grant made a cake, and this is what right away, I didn't care for what he said. He sells alcohol. That's his job. And then, of course, he's been working on cooking for years. He wanted to do this Masterchef thing, and, he doesn't want to sell alcohol for the rest of his life. So he made this cake with stout and coffee. And stout is a very heavy beer. And it's a German heavy stout beer, or it's British, but I don't know if it's heavy. That's all I know, it's dark. And then you have coffee. What is that? Dark. And anyway, it didn't sound good to me. But, at all. Right off the bat. I don't want to eat a cake with beer in it. I just don't. And then, Kennedy last. Jennifer made, it was called the I Love You cake.
And by the way, it looked really good. And I will say this.
Yeah, because she makes desserts.
I will say this because, Safi's a huge bitch to Karen. And that
is not true.
I will say, even though she is a terrible Karen, terrible, I did like her meal in terms of I would eat her meal myself. Like, if I had to choose a meal to eat, I'm not going to eat the gender meal. I'm not going to eat
cake with beer in it.
The beer meal. I'm going to eat Karen's meal.
And I make pork all the time. So, to me, that's something I make. He just fancied it up a little bit. But anyway, her cake was the I Love You cake because her husband, quote, he is an Italian stallion. She said that in public.
She said he's a stud and he's an Italian stallion, which was we all know
personal thing.
It was a sexual comment,
I
just like the queerness thing, but worse.
So I don't want to hear it. I don't care who says it. I
don't
want to hear it.
Gross.
I don't want to hear it. Anyway, her cake though was a raspberry chocolate cream thing, and she got the.
But it looked really good. Yeah, really tasty.
Because she's from the South, and the South they eat desserts. Yeah. I have a thing on my Facebook. It's a group. I've had it for years. It's like the Southern Lady Cooks or something. What is it for the most of it? About 99%? Desserts. So, not surprising. And then Kennedy will come to her last, and we're here to her now. She made a black seed cake. I have no idea what that is.
No, Safi, you
What?
weren't paying attention again.
Okay,
It
what?
was a black sesame seed cake.
Well, still.
Not just a black cake. That's
no,
racist.
I said a black seed.
That's racist.
I said a black seed
That's
cake.
racist.
Oh, cut it out.
Ow!
So anyway,
Ow!
it just didn't sound like a good.
Ow!
It didn't sound good. It sounded heavy in its title. And it was. Because part of the problem, and I think it would have been okay if her cake would have been like Jennifer's, probably light and airy and fluffy, which is kind of what a good cake should be. And I'm not a big cake, I haven't made a lot of cake, but I know what a good cake tastes like. But anyway, she had made this, she had this cherry sauce, and then she made this, and I'm not sure how she was doing it, but it wouldn't work. She was trying to make snow, so she was trying to make a Colorado, what did she say? A Colorado sunrise or
Colorado
sunset?
night sky.
Yeah, and so
It was awful. It didn't look like the night sky at all. In fact, it just looked like kind of like a crappy, pretentious plate. And it didn't go with the other two dishes either.
No, it didn't.
And
it's a shame,
It
really.
didn't even fill up the plate. Like, it was only
half of the plate.
Yeah.
And what happened was, she tried to make this snow, and she had to do it 3 times. Unfortunate, and she did it. I'm not sure what the process. I've never heard of it, but it's something that you do with the cream, I guess, that makes it this texture that's like powdery snow. And so Colorado has a lot of snow. So anyway, it took her 3 times, which I give her credit. I mean, she was really trying, and she didn't want to fail and give up. But the problem is the cake was overcooking while she did that. And see, if that hadn't happened, the cake wouldn't have gotten overcooked. I'm not saying she would have won, because the cake wouldn't have been overcooked. Maybe it wouldn't have been as dry and heavy as it sounds, but it did have an effect on it. And and I wondered that when she was making this. She made it 3 times.
And I thought, they can't give her the win now.
Nope, they couldn't do it.
And
it's a shame, because she.
It's not a shame. I was very happy.
They didn't go together, and then they had to say that terrible thing, and then Jennifer had done those thing with holding up the chop and saying that thing about her husband and his.
Yeah, I mean, that was a sexual. That was a sexual comment, and it's like, fuck off.
I don't want to hear that.
Nobody wants to hear that about your stupid husband.
Yeah,
like,
really.
it's bad enough we have to hear about your stupid children. We don't want to hear about your stupid husband.
Every week. She's proud of him, that's great, and I understand, but to talk about him every damn week, which to me indicated she really missed them a lot, and that's why she was talking about them. So anyway, who do you think won? Well,
Grant
won.
Grant easily won, and I was like, they better choose Grant. If they don't choose Grant, then that's bizarre.
Well, they couldn't in all conscience pick Kennedy because her dessert, the cake was dry. They said that. They complained about it, and it was too heavy. And they did respect her for trying to do that snow, trying to make it look the way she wanted it to look and the way she said it would look. But they couldn't give it to her. It just wasn't, because the dessert wasn't right. And also, the dishes didn't go together. They said that. They said the succession of dishes didn't go together.
They didn't.
Grant, he's part Italian. He said his great-grandparents were from Sicily. So, I mean, he was trying to, he had his whole, he had carefully planned out his whole meal.
Yeah, Safi didn't have any faith in Masterchef of the Corn.
Well, I was the one who did.
I was the one who did. I thought
it was very simple.
Yeah.
Well, not the egg yolk ravioli. That was like, what would you call it? Self-torture, which is another word for that. But, what is it? It's not masochist. masochistic. It's the sadistic, I guess. When you're hurting yourself. Anyway, but he was successful at it, and everything that he had cooked, it turned out okay. Even the heavy stout and coffee cake, all those things, they turned out fine. He had even made a chocolate pizzelle, which is a kind of cookie that's in a kind of a lacy pattern, and you put the dough in this. It's like a waffle iron in a way. And
so the meal that I thought was the best was Karen's. That's the one that I would eat. Yeah. But I did think that Grant did the best for the show.
Yeah, and we eat pork stuff all the time.
Masterchef of the corn.
Yeah. Yeah, and all those things he made, except for the egg yolk ravioli, we would probably have that. I mean, we're in the Midwest, or we were.
I mean, I guess I would eat the beer cake and stuff, but just not all the time. I don't like that. And I've had stout before, and I hated it. It was like a Szechuan peppercorn stout, and it was so gross.
I don't care for beer, and that I just wouldn't care for it. It's too heavy. I've had it too.
It tastes like you're drinking like oil or something.
Yeah,
like it's so thick. Yeah.
But of course, he sells beer, so that he knows what's good to use.
Yeah, I don't think he
might even know. He knows the difference between the different beers.
I don't think he'd drink the Szechuan peppercorn stout, or would he?
But he won, and they were real. And of course, the Kennedy and Jennifer were very, very good sports and really good about it. I know they were disappointed, but he deserved it. He did. And there was not one shitty, and I'll say shitty, comment. He had a little boy, and the little boy, I don't know if he was 3 and younger, or maybe just 3, but he was young, and he kept cheering for his dad and saying this. I couldn't believe it, all on his own. It was really cute. So, he won, that's it. And, well, how are we supposed to review the show? Is this a food review of the season? No.
Well, I guess you could. No.
I don't want to do that. Anyway,
I would give the episode a C, because
that sounds good.
It was terrible watching, like, the whole gender bullshit, and then the husband thing. And I was like, the only thing that can salvage this terrible episode is if Grant wins, and he won. But I did bet Safi, I believe, that Kennedy would win, unfortunately.
Well, they were all thinking,
and to be fair,
in the crowd, they thought she might win, but then when she got the dessert...
Yeah, to be fair, when she screwed up the dessert, that was game over.
Yeah.
So I have to take a bean. And I'm going to take a blue bean to represent the rainbow aspect of her queerness.
Yeah. Stupid. I don't know why her sister had to say that.
Tastes like toothpaste.
She made it... Oh, really? She made it worse. She made and then Jennifer, the things that she holding the chop up in the air like she's a teenager. Like, oh, look, Mom, look what I made. I made this chop. This venison chop. Like, oh, God.
Oh, no, she was, like, spinning it around like she won a game show or something.
But, I mean, she held it in her hand, a chop, and held it up to the whole audience to see in her hand. I mean, come on. How queer is that?
Yeah, I mean, that was queer, too.
That's what I say. I don't like that personal stuff. I really don't. Kennedy didn't do anything like that the entire time. And I was thinking they did show before all that stuff that they were saying about the gender and all that. They showed her schoolie again and what she usually cooks on. And to me, I mean, even after all, it's just amazing. Because, I mean, I've watched a lot of this stuff for several years now, where these people who live in vans and schoolies, and they just have like they have either butane cook stove, a propane cook stove, or they have what she has. She plugs it in. It's a 2-burner, like a hot plate, and she makes all, stuff like this. She learned how to cook on that, and it just amazes me. So anyway, But she never said any of this stuff until she gets to the final episodes.
And look, all she had to do for this shitty meal was say that it represented Colorado.
Which it did.
That's all she had to do.
It really did, because she had trout, and then she had what was the other thing? The maybe not. I don't know. The dessert was supposed to look like the Colorado sky, and.
But to be fair, even then, I don't think they go together.
No, they don't.
So
that's kind of where she didn't. I don't think she thought about that.
No, because it was about the gender
thing. That's what she was thinking about. I just wish she had not done that.
And it kind of demonstrated how stupid it is through the food.
And I don't know what she does to make the money to live in the schoolie. A lot of these people who live in they do remote work, so they're artists or they work for some company. Maybe they're writers. They do a lot of different. Well,
so you give the episode a C as well. Yeah, you're going to copy me again.
I didn't like the comments and the thing with Jennifer and what she says about her husband and the holding the chop. I thought that was talk about amateurish.
Especially since she was saying the Italian stallion thing in front of her 6 children, like, ew.
Yeah. And then they go, what's an Italian stallion, Mommy?
What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean, Mommy?
You'll figure it out when you're older, and then you're going to look back at this and cringe and think, why was I on television with this crazy woman?
Yeah. So that's why I'm in agreement. I probably would have... Well, we were not looking forward to it because we were not happy.
Because of what they did to Wayne.
And what they did to Fran.
The suicidal girl.
And I don't know how they would have done. I think Wayne would have gotten the finale. And if he didn't do too much and it didn't screw up his time, he probably would have won. Because he really improved a lot. That's why I said that's the way it usually is. He would
have destroyed these people. Like he wouldn't have even... He could have destroyed all 3 of them. I guarantee it.
Yeah. But so anyway, it is what it is, and congratulations to Grant.
Masterchef of the Corn. Yeah. And I knew he was good at the beginning. I said so.
He was always...
Nobody listened.
I would say pretty much. He was pretty consistent.
No, you lie. You never thought he was good.
No, I just...
At the beginning, you were like... Yeah, he's a corn guy from Iowa. He's not going to be any good. And I was like, F you.
I don't think I said that.
I was like, F you.
I don't believe
he's going to win.
I think you're lying.
He's going to win the show.
Yeah, I think you're lying.
He's going to beat a girl who thinks she's a girl and a man and Karen.
We never knew that. I didn't think Karen would make it to the final, basically. Because I didn't think she was right for it.
No, she wasn't. And
I wish she wouldn't have.
They put her there anyway so she could talk about her husband's you-know-what.
His libido. Anyway, so that's it. So our next review will be on what, Marco? What are we doing next? Another Saw movie?
Saw 3.
Saw 3.
Which I don't like.
What about the next Slappy World, which I've already read?
I think we'll do that on Tuesday.
Okay, so our next...
Because I need time to digest.
Yeah.
After the rainbow aspect of her queerness and...
I don't know why. And they've never asked anybody. I don't remember in any MasterChef season I've ever watched where they invited a relative in the finale to go up to the judges' table and look at and sit down. They may ask her to sit down in front of her sister's plate. And you gotta wonder, did they know that was going to happen?
No.
And because they looked as aghast as I felt I was looking. So anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to our channel so we can see your feedback. We can probably see it anyway. And you can share what you've been watching. Did you watch this? What did you think about the winner? What do you think about these comments? Are we going overboard? I don't care. I don't like the personal stuff. And that's it. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.